What is going to be your legacy?
So joining us on Legacy today, the Family Business Podcast, is Chris Black, Managing Director of Sound Leisure based in Leeds. Chris, welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Let's start with a little bit of history in terms of, tell us all about Sound Leisure.
Okay, so Sound Leisure are a family business, obviously, based in Leeds, established 1978. My father set the business up to manufacture commercial jukebox systems for the hospitality industry, so dealing with the likes of Mitchells and Butlers and Tetleys and John Smiths, etc. And mid-80s, we actually manufactured a classic style jukebox, which was an ex-Wurlitzer machine. So we themed it on the Wurlitzer machine. And that led to us moving more into people's homes and to residential as well as commercial. And now we are shipping these classic style machines all across the globe. We export to about 45 different countries, dealing with some really famous people that normally I can't talk about. And yeah, that's literally sums it up. We also have a operating business that still deals with pubs, clubs, hospitality. So they're the guys and girls that are going into the pubs and putting the machines on the walls and providing music through the UK. And we have a children's play division, which seems quite left of field, really. That came about 2006 when the smoking ban came in. We could see jukeboxes possibly leaving pubs because the tap rooms were closing down. We expected that families would have to be welcomed back into pubs and food would have to be served and they'd have to do something different, which is what's happened. So that division now is supplying distraction areas to the NHS in waiting rooms, to travel and tourism, and also hospitality. So we're dealing with a lot of different B2B, B2C, and through so many different sectors. It's unbelievable.
But, so quite a unique and diversified group in a way, a group of businesses. But jukeboxes is quite specific. You must be one of the only the only UK manufactured jukeboxes left today.
We are one of two in the world that are manufacturing classic style machines. So there's people still building the digital machines that are going into pubs and clubs. There's probably 3 businesses doing that worldwide, where 2 have the classic style. And obviously we consider ourselves to be the best.
So you must be really proud that you are a number of years in as a family business, 3rd generation, still manufacturing in Yorkshire but exporting to the world a classic product.
Oh, 100%, yeah. I mean, and we thrive on the Yorkshire side of it as well. We push that everywhere we go. So we're manufacturing, as you say, in Yorkshire. We have done since 1978. It's our 45th year. I've personally been there for 38 years. So I went for 6 weeks back in 1986 before I went to become a painter and decorator, supposedly. And 38 years later, the summer holidays have been a long one. But we've had fun along the way.
I'm sure.
Were you, is that something you always wanted to do, was to get into the family business, or were you pushed to it? What was the process of you getting involved?
The process was, I hated school with a passion. Didn't want to go to college or university afterwards. I just wanted to get out and do something. I really wanted to be a painter and decorator, use my hands. I'm not studious at all. I don't like to be heading a book. I think we've already had a conversation. I'd probably fall asleep if I did it now. But my hands on. I'm like somebody says you can't do it, we'll prove them wrong. I'll get out. I won't be beaten. But the idea was, like in many family businesses, I finished my exams on the Thursday, driving into Leeds with my dad one day, and he said, right, what have you got planned for the summer holidays? I said, well, I think we're going to go away, do this, do that. He said, right, before you do that, I want you to come. I need you some help in the factory for a week, just to try and sort of like fill a gap because people are on holiday, etc. Will you come in? Yeah, and enjoyed it, got stuck into it, and literally never looked back. It's a great business. I mean, we're really, really lucky in what we manufacture. We've got a cool product at the end of it. We're dealing with fantastic people all over the world. I've got friends all over the world because of the exporting side of it. And if you can't enjoy what we're doing, there's something wrong with you as a person. So we're proud to be doing what we're doing. And I think when I'm dealing with people now all over the world, as I say, but I'll be dealing with the grandkids of the people that bought our machines originally, or sons and daughters of people. So the machines we're manufacturing will last. We've been building them 45 years. So when people ask me how long they'll last, I always say I don't know. We've only been building them 45 years. They're still going. Those early machines are still running. We've just bought the first machine back that we ever manufactured from a man
Amazing.
who'd had it 40 years. And he's bought his second machine off us 40 years later. He's 80. And he's bought his second machine off us after 40 years. And I really had to prize that first one out of him to get it back to us to be in our reception area when you come in.
So you've joined the business.
Yes.
You're in. You wanted to be a painter decorator. You're
Yeah.
getting your hands. You're busy. You're enjoying it.
Yeah.
What was the process to get you involved within the business? What was there any training, and kind of what was the plan to get you from there to managing director?
I think probably like with a lot of businesses, when I joined, I was the tea lad. I mean, literally, it was come in, 35 cups of tea on a morning, 8 o'clock, 10:30, 12:30, 2:30, I think it was.
Yeah.
Sandwich run, and then packing machines in between, and then moved into stores, ran through the stores department, then went on to assemblies and worked on the machines, building the components up for everybody else to fit. And then when I was 17, I passed my driving test and I went out onto the road, onto the operating business. So going around the pubs and clubs, installing the machines into the sites, then looking after them. So that was a 7-day a week, back then 12 hours a day type of business. The pubs didn't, well, they shut at 3 o'clock and opened again at 6 or 7, I think it was. But it was a lot of driving. It was hard work. It was literally learning the business from the ground up. I then went into sales, and because I'd been I built the machines originally, then I'd been installing the machines into the pubs and clubs. I could then go around the world and visit people that we'd sold to and give them technical training along with some of the other team that used to come out with us. I could speak to the sales guys and say, look, really for that site or for that location, I'd have recommended you put this machine because this has got the features that site requires. So I did a lot of international travel, ended up through Malaysia, Hong Kong, Singapore, and then back into Europe. So that got me a good grounding on what's going on in other people's businesses as well, because our industry from the commercial side, it's a lot of family businesses and it's a lot of businesses that are handed down through generations. So there's a few big players in it, but it is predominantly fathers, sons, mothers, daughters that are all working in these businesses. And they like dealing with other family businesses, and because we all understand each other, we all understand what everybody's going through. So going back to the question, it's like literally I didn't expect to be managing director. I was quite happy doing what I was doing, and then one day my dad dragged me in again and said, right, I want to step out of the limelight a bit. My dad's an engineer. He's hands-on. Once again, he's 80 years old. He's in the factory 6 days a week still, loves what he does. He's got the passion for it. He still tests every machine that goes through. So every vinyl mechanism we build now, my dad still does the final tweaks on it to make sure it's to how he wanted. And I look back now when I started in 86, I can still see him when I come down the old factory stairs. My dad was always stood in the corner at his bench tweaking these mechanisms. Well, he's doing exactly the same now in the new factory, just in a different position. And he's been doing that for 45 years. So he dragged me in and said, right, look, you're dealing with a lot of the brewers and the retailers. That's not what I want to do. You'll get on with them all. You can go and have a few beers with them all and do the party. And he says, I'm beyond all that. I just want to sit at my bench and fiddle. And he's an amazing designer. So that's what he likes to do. So I became the face, if you want. But I still had all these people around me that could, if I needed to fall back on anybody, I could go in and ask questions. So, and that's literally how it's happened. I've just sort of like slid in without actually having a plan, really.
How important was it to have a role model like that growing up?
I think it was, I know it was fantastic. I mean, everybody in the industry has a lot of respect for my father. He's well known. He won an award earlier this year through the organisation backed her. That's our sort of like industry organisation.
Yeah.
And that was for everything is done for the industry. There's a lot of people that have been using our products for, say, over 40 years in the pubs and clubs. All the engineers, he's literally has invented so many things. Like he invented the digital jukebox. He was the first person in the world to show a digital jukebox. That was before MP3 came out. So that caused us problems as well, because it was so new. The licensing bodies threatened to shut the business down because they'd never seen anything like it. It was like witchcraft. So he did that. We had the satellite downloading video jukebox where we had to go around and put satellite dishes on the sides of the pubs because you couldn't fit the content of the video onto a CD-ROM. So we had to literally send it from BT Tower in London to a satellite that came over, French Telecom satellite, came over every Sunday night. So once the BBC had played the top 40 and number one got played, everything got released to BT Tower. That got beamed up to French Telecom satellite. And then on a Monday morning, you came into your Tetley's, it was Mr. Q's, Tetley's pubs, and turned your jukebox on, and all this material appeared. The videos were there, which today just seems, well, so what? Back then it was mind-blowing. It's like nobody had ever done it. So it's having these people around you. So my dad, technically, and he built a great team up. So where we were in Leeds, we had great draftsmen, we had great engineers. It was a big engineering area. So they were building steam trains literally 3 factories away from where we were. So we had all these skill sets readily available to the business, which is what we needed. We were mechanics, we were electronics, which was my dad's passion and what he excelled in. We had woodworking companies, we had vac forming companies, metal plating companies. I mean, literally, you could go within a mile of our business and buy anything you needed. Now, although probably 95% of all the components in the machines do come from the UK, and the vast majority from Yorkshire, we have to go abroad now and bring parts in as well because the skill sets have gone, unfortunately. I was also lucky that there was another man involved with the business, a guy called Eddie Moss, who my father set the business up with originally. And I mean, that's another tale, that when my father set the business up, he had no money. I mean, literally, I think he had about £30 in his back pocket. And he wanted to build a jukebox. That was his passion. He set the business up repairing other people's machines, if you want, other jukeboxes. So there were machines coming in from Germany, machines coming in from America, and my dad knew how to repair them. Eddie had a business in Leeds that was importing German machines, and my dad had previously repaired components for him. But my dad, being my dad, never charged Eddie. He just said, look, there you go. I'm learning something new, or you can have that one on me. So when he wanted to set Sound Leisure up, he approached Eddie and said, look, I need some help. We were going to South Africa. My brother was born with a clubbed foot, so he had a twisted foot. So my mum wanted to stay in the UK. So it changed their plans. So he went to see Eddie and said, look, I need a bit of help, really, because Maureen's going to kill me if I don't start earning some money or staying in the UK because we've got 2 young kids. So Eddie said, look, I've got a garage downstairs that if you clear that out, it's a loading bay. You can have that. You can have it rent-free if you fix my jukeboxes for me for free. And anything else you bring in, that's yours, and that'll get you going. Great. And my dad had said to him, look, I want to build a jukebox. I said, yeah, that's fine. Just like, nobody's really ever done it in the UK before. So it was just like, yeah, that's great. Go away and fix some parts. And within a year, he found a business in Germany that were manufacturing vending machines, and they also manufactured a jukebox. And this jukebox never really worked. The player mechanism was so overcomplicated. It's unbelievable. We've got one in the factory now. And if you see their version and our version next to each other within a year, it's mind-blowing what my dad and his team did, re-engineering it to get it to where it was. But he approached the business and said, look, I hear you're having problems. I'm hearing rumours you want to get out of manufacturing jukeboxes. Could I buy the tooling and all your schematics, your electronics, everything, and just like take your factory basically and bring it to England? So he did this. He went over for a meeting with them and they said, look, yeah, we'll sell it, but we want 100,000. Now, £100,000 in 1978 was a big deal. We lived in a nice house, which were a 1930s semi, and I think that were about £3,500, which strangely enough is 2 streets away from our factory now. And my dad came back from Germany, wrote his business plan up, went to see the bank, and when the bank manager stopped laughing and got himself off the floor, literally it was a no, not a chance. It's the wrong type of industry for us to put our, sort of like nail our flag to, because it was back in the 70s, it was gambling and everything associated with it. There was quite a lot of naughty stuff going on, and the bank just didn't want to get involved. So my dad came back and saw Eddie and said, right, look, I need 100 grand, how are you fixed? And Eddie said, right, what's it for? They went through everything, and cut a long story short, Eddie got them on the phone. He was a born salesman, Eddie, got them on the phone, got them down to 80 grand. Came off the phone and says, right, this is how it's going to work. I'm going to send them the money. You're going to go get all the bits. You're going to redesign it all. Once you've done that and you've sold your first jukebox to a paying customer, we're 50-50. Until that point, all the tooling and everything's mine, because that's my guarantee, which was a guarantee of nothing, because literally Eddie just had a couple of containers full of parts. It was like a Meccano kit, if you want. So they brought it back, and that literally, Sound Leisure was formed on a handshake, no contracts. They were both business partners until Eddie passed away, until about 2014 at the age of 81. And they never had a crossword. And that was my second person that I had a lot of time for. And I looked up to. He was a great guy. First day in the office, really, my dad said to Eddie, I want you to take Chris under your wing. You're a salesman. I want you to teach him about sales and looking after customers and everything else. And that's what he did. And I still remember the first conversation, which I sat in there as a 16-year-old at his desk, and he says, right, there's 2 things going to happen. First thing is you're going to be around pubs all your life, because that's the industry we're in. So when you go in a pub, you don't drink when you're working, because there's only one way out of that one, and it's not good. Second thing is you never gamble, because, and he's pointed out of his window, and he said, do you see that Rolls Royce down there? I says, yeah. He says, that's come from people gambling. Don't be one of those people. And that was it. So that's amazing. 2 lines I remember, amazing. And it's lived with me.
What incredible life advice there as well.
Yeah.
And also two really inspirational people to follow and help get your career started. Your dad, who's obviously very innovative, very technical, very gifted in what he does, and Eddie, who was prepared to take you under his wing and train you and teach you and share best practice and help you grow. What a great way to start in terms of a family business program, informal, although it might seem to you, but informal program of development to help you grow. Yeah,
but I think there's lots of other people as well. I mean, there's people, when I worked on the operating side, there's people that they were just all good people, and they cared about the business and treated it as their own. And I learned a lot of them. Our business always has been full of people that have been within the business for a long time. So we've just had somebody last week celebrate 35 years. We had somebody the week before do 36. We've got people that are with us a long time, so they are family as well. And we've got other families within our family business. So we've probably got another 6 families within our own business as well. So out of 70 people, nearly 10%, there's groups of brothers, sisters, aunties, uncles, whatever. And I think when you've got a stable platform like that, and you've got people that do know the business inside out, which no doubt they all do, it does make it easy. You are learning without knowing you're learning. You're just doing a job, but you're picking up from their experience, and you're picking up from their, not just the skills, but their passion, if you want, because it's not just me who's got a passion for the business. No. If you walk around our place, you can cut a lot of people in half, and it says Sound Leisure all the way through it.
But that must fill you with immense pride in terms of, and your father still works there, and I've spoken to your dad and seen your dad at his bench. It's incredible to see him still doing what he does. He loves what he does, but you can see you love what you do as well, and your passion shines through. The people that work for you
work with me.
They do work with you because they're all part of a team, and you've created a team that works and operates almost as a mass, with the end game being to service the needs of your customer to the best you possibly can with a world-class product that's made in Yorkshire. That must fill you with, well, how does that make you feel?
It's amazing, actually. And I think if you look back over the last, 8 years, we've had a tough time. We had Brexit, which was a real struggle for the business because we export, as I say, we're probably exporting 65-70% of everything we manufacture. So that was a disaster for us. Yeah. And it's not just the vote, what happened, it's the length of time it took and the uncertainty it caused through all our European customers. So that was probably the worst time. But as I've learned a lot in business, normally the one that you think's a killing blow is just preparing you for the one round the corner. And we've been lucky on a few occasions where Brexit, we knew it was going to be hard, so we really battened the hatches down. We literally got everybody together and went, look, this is what's happening. We're not going to be doing massive wage rises or etc. We are literally in this now for the long game, and we're all in it together. It'll come back, and when it does, happy days, we'll all get something. But we got through Brexit and then obviously got hit with COVID, and that was interesting.
Well, that was interesting on two levels for you, wasn't it? One for the business, because like everything else, business, what's going to happen? It's a business you're passionate about in terms of where's that going to go. But you personally had COVID and it hit you really hard. So you're trying to look after yourself, the family, and the business and the people that work for you. So that was a really tough time.
It was tough, and it was particularly tough, I think, on my wife because Kath works in the business as well. So I got COVID early March before really it all kicked off. And I think out of my 38 years, if I've had a week off work in 38 years, and I'm talking like the odd half day or something like that, I don't think I'm really saying anything out of line there.
It's that Yorkshire build, mate.
It must be the Yorkshire build, yeah. But it was literally COVID. I were off for 3 months. It like absolutely smashed me. So Kath was trying to look after me. She didn't think I was going to survive, to be honest. Then my brother's got diabetes, and his wife has got, can't remember exactly what she's got, but they were both high risk. So Michael was out of the business, really. He could do bits from home, but 2 young kids, etc., he was like literally out of the business. So Kath virtually ended up taking on the whole, how do we get through this? And with my dad, and it was a tough time. But it was looking back with what we ended up doing, because we ended up helping out. We manufactured coffins for a while. And my wife still to this day says it's not because she's from Yorkshire and she's trying to get a free one for me. She was just trying to. She was trying to help the cause, and but it was a great learning curve for us. It was difficult because we had this sort of like big, what we class as a big business to us, because obviously we live in it. And we came back with a third of the business running. So the classic jukeboxes bounced back quickly. We went from normally 8-week, 12-week lead time to a 8 to 12-month lead time. But on the flip side, we had the operating business that was in hospitality that just bobbled along. I mean, it was closed for months. And then I think it was about 18 months before it got going. And then the children's play division business, that was just smashed into oblivion because we just had to literally just mothball that division because they were dealing with hospitality, travel and tourism, and then the icing on the cake, NHS. So and they had a little bit more on the mind. And we shut that division down for over 2 years, and it's just on its way back now.
I think that for me, the strength is, you say, Kath, your wife, stepped up. She was already very much involved in the business, but she really kind of carried the whole thing in terms of you not being well, the other family members that needed to be looked after, your own family, and then the business. So a lot on her shoulders, but the strength of the relationship and the dynamics of your team and the people around you, she managed and carried the ship. But you had a great team support, 100%, and the whole thing has stood you in good stead for what's come subsequently.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the team, especially when we first came back, obviously we couldn't. The difficulty was that the team came back at different times because from different divisions there was nothing for them to do. So classics came back first because we had the orders, so we could support those. But as I say, that was 1/3 of the business. So we were trying to, I don't know, steer an ocean liner through a pond, basically. It was literally, how do we bring people back and afford to do it? Because in our business, there's quite a lot of the divisions are intertwined, because we use some of the guys out of the operating division for installing machines in another division or for the kids. And so it is quite a strange mixture, really, that we're not pinching people, but we're all working together, where one day they'll be working in pubs and clubs, the next day they could be sat in a hospital putting a children's play area together. So it's everybody jumped in. Like every business, we lost people through that time. Some people retired because in that 18 months, the retirement date came up. That caused us massive problems in some areas because we didn't have chance really to bring somebody underneath them to learn their job. And 4 years down the line now, we're still trying to get the team back in the shape. So I think I've said on many occasions to people, it's like we had the goalkeeper playing striker and the striker were in defence, and we had midfield in goal, and it was just people were just doing whatever they had to do to get through that time. And now we're trying to put everybody back in line and get that pattern again that you want to play with back in some kind of order, and that's where we are now. We're still on that journey.
It's kind of the best thing about family businesses is that people will go above and beyond in order to keep the business going. Which kind of brought me on to my next question, which is you said, you know, if you cut people at Sound Leisure, you know, they'll bleed Sound Leisure. Same we say at Cleenol. You know, there's a lot of people that say that if you cut me. And it's a lot, and you hear that a lot with family businesses. Why do you think that is? What is it that you think happens at family businesses in particular, where you turn around and they say, that's how much I believe in the business?
I don't know. I mean, our business, we're not the biggest payers because we can't afford to be competing with some of the big boys PLCs out there. I think there's other things that matter to people, isn't there? So it's like if somebody has got somebody in hospital, or they're going through a rough time, or they need some help with something, they can speak direct to us and know that we're going to help. So whether it's helping them with a mortgage payment, or whether it's helping them because somebody's got a mental illness that we've seen a lot of since COVID, especially, where you're hearing sort of like the issues people have had. But because we've all worked together and we're sort of like friends and mates as well, it's a lot easier sometimes to sit in a room with somebody and go, look, I'm in trouble, this has happened, which has caused this. And it's sometimes you're a bit like a counsellor. For the last few years, definitely, we've sat in, I've had people, I've put them through all sorts of different processes to help them that the business has done, because we don't want to lose people that are having an issue, and it's a temporary blip. And if you can help them through it with counselling or whatever, you can get people through that. And I think that's the difference. And I think a lot of I think family businesses do genuinely care. I'm not saying they all do, but ours definitely does. And you do want people to feel like A, they want to come to work, B, to be happy while they're there, but you do get a bit more involved because sometimes things go wrong at home and that's not in our control. But when they come to work and they're upset or there's something happened, that's when it does become an issue for us, if you want, that you've got to help them, because it's not just for us, for the business, it's because they're your friends as well. We know everybody's first name, we know them all, we'll go for a beer, we'll go for walks, we do all sorts. And some people want to get involved, some people don't. But it's not as though I don't know who everybody is. And I think that's the difference.
There's a lot of online, there's a lot of people that talk about family values and calling a family business and turning around to the team and saying, you know, we are a family. And then someone else turns around and says, well, they're not really, because you can just, you know, fire them and they're not part of the family anymore.
But that's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. But you know, I'd love to know with the success and the longevity of members of staff with Sound Leisure, you know, I believe that that potentially with you guys there is that family feel, and there is that, you know, you're going above and beyond, making people feel safe, making people feel they can express themselves, be themselves, and open up, be open and honest, which is what you would want in a family. Now, not all families stay together all the time.
No, exactly. And when you're working with a lot of people, they can't all be friends all the time.
Yeah, correct. No.
And I think, and especially in our business where you've got so many different skill sets working alongside each other as well, because you've got highly skilled people working alongside non-skilled people. And that can be fractious sometimes because different people want different things at different times. So, look, I'm not saying it's always a bed of roses. I don't think there's any business anywhere in the
white
world.
roses. Bed of white roses.
Yes,
yeah.
bed of white roses, yeah. So, well picked up. But it is, I think, in the whole, if you've got a stable platform to build on, which is you've got people that aren't leaving every 5 minutes and you're not recruiting every 5 minutes. And it's not that I've got anything about recruiting. We've set new people on this last couple of months, and they've brought so much to the business. It's unbelievable. It's like a breath of fresh air because they look at things differently, and you can get stayed in your ways, and you can just say we've always done it like that. But as soon as you start on that path, you're going backwards. So you always want that next, how we're going to improve, how we're going to move forward. And I think that's part of it as well. You can make things comfortable for people, but I think also it's nice to be changing things and trying new things because it doesn't become boring then. Because as soon as you just come in and you're doing the same thing day after day after day, that's when it can be getting a bit too like stale, if you want.
You mentioned at the start, so a number of family members involved, but you've got your next generation involved, so your son works in the business. What's the long-term plan for you in terms of transition to the next generation? Where do you see the future in terms of Sound Leisure? Where does that go? And what do you do to prepare that next generation? Your process was very informal. Are you planning something similar? And there's no, obviously, the success you've had, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but what are your thoughts in terms of bringing on the next generation and the future leadership of Sound Leisure?
I think for my son, we're just bringing him through to his next level now. So he's been on the digital repair side of the business, fixing computers and working on the hospitality side, if you want. Very similar to what I did. But we're just bringing him through now for marketing because at college he was doing videography and he's great at it, and I can't do everything. So we're trying to bring him through. His works at the shows and the exhibitions we go to. He's very personable. So at this minute in time, I don't know where Alex will end up. I don't know if he'll want to stay with the business. If he does, fantastic. If he doesn't, goes out with an American girl at the minute. He could end up living in Dallas or wherever. I mean, it could end up anywhere in the world. So I'd love him to be part of the business. I'd like my youngest son to be part of the business. He's down in London doing economics at the moment, but I don't want to restrict their life, if you want, doing what we do. We work damn hard, and it's. I'm not scared of that. I enjoy that. Some people don't, and I don't know if they want to do that. It's. I think we just give them the opportunity. If they want to grasp it and they want to take it and they do it, that's fine. If not, we'll find somebody else. And I don't mean that in a nasty way. I just mean that there's a lot of people out there that can do something I can do and do it better. And likewise for everybody in the business. So nobody's indispensable. But what we're trying to do is try and make it that people do feel like they can do what they want. So, as I said, I think Tony, who celebrated 35 years with us, he's just gone back to college. We've just put him through a training course, literally just passed 2 or 3 weeks ago. So, and he's becoming our new quality control, but he's had to go back and reset his maths and his English because when he left school at 16, he never went back for his certificates. He were a bit like me. He just wanted to get out of there and go. So look, I don't know. I think we discuss things at board meetings and we're busy getting on with the business. I think at the minute it's been a strange, say 4 or 5 years. It has definitely been that roll your sleeves up and let's get this thing cracking again and secure everybody's future. And then we're just this year again now starting to think again about, right, where are we going, what we're doing and how do we do it? Because for the past 4 or 5 years, it has just been, as I say, it's been firefighting.
What's the board setup?
So we have myself, my brother, my father, strangely enough. We have a finance director who's nothing to do with the business, but has worked on our business from afar, from one of the accountancy businesses for many years. But then we have people come in. So we have our accountant comes in. We have, unfortunately, we've just lost a member of the team who's gone to work for his own family business for his mother. So we had Elliot on there as well. So we're just now looking again at how we recreate this and get people to challenge what we're doing. And I don't want our business just to be full of yes men. or women. I just want people to go, right, why are you doing that? Or could you not do it like this? And challenge us, because it's the best for us all.
Yeah. How do you avoid Sunday roast becoming another board meeting?
We don't really bother with it anymore, to be honest.
Sunday roast?
Like, No, I mean, look, I live 8 doors away from my mother and father.
Yeah.
I work with my dad on and off all day. I work with my brother on and off all day. So I see Michael maybe every now and again out of work because he's got a young family there doing football on a Sunday. I'm usually up a ladder doing painting and decorating, what I could have been doing full time, really. So I still do that. I enjoy it. So I do that. But we're very informal as a family. So like tonight, I could be walking down the village and think, I'll just nip in and see my mum for an hour.
Yeah.
So we just all just bounce around and just do whatever we want. We're not that restricted or that every Sunday this is what we do, because all our lives are at different stages and we're just filling it out when we can.
I think it's really important that message is shared, because for the community that are going to listen or are listening to this or watching this will have that question going, how do we maintain the strength of our family bonds within the business without breaking them outside the business? And I think that's just a conflict that always happens.
I think sometimes, for instance, me and Kath will go home on a night and obviously something happens, and especially with the role she's playing, which is operations manager for the operating division, they're working till 9 o'clock on an evening, looking after the pubs. So a lot of the time we'll go home and the laptop will come out and she'll be talking to somebody in Portsmouth or fixing a machine in Scotland or wherever. So there's always something going on in the house that revolves around the business. And because we're dealing internationally, so as I've said earlier this morning, I got up, phone pinged at 6 o'clock this morning while I'm in bed. Guy in China needs to speak to me. So, and then at the other end of the day, we've got somebody from America. So you can't get away from it. However, if the mindset I am, which is you enjoy it anyway, it's not a problem. It can be to other people, but how we're set up and how we work, we seem to get through it. It's not a challenge to get through it. It's just how we are. We are the business, if you want.
But your work ethic, clearly your wife's work ethic, your father's work ethic, is incredible and sometimes inspirational. But you must burn out. You cannot maintain this level. And
that's when you just say, right, every 3 or 4 months you need to just have a blitz, just go out, turn off, stop. I do a lot of swimming, so I like to get up early in the morning. Don't watch the news anymore. Got rid of that. That would just wasting my life. No, I try not to do cold swimming. I prefer to go to a spa if I can. So, but yeah, and it's like I can go for a swim on a morning, which I feel frees my mind up. And if I have 45 minutes in there, it just gets me going for the day. So I can do that. I like gardening, going outside, and just if I'm outside, I'm all right. Doesn't matter what I'm doing. If I'm, as I say, if I'm painting a wall or if I'm riding a bike or walking or whatever, that's how I get through day to day. And then obviously as I say, it's probably turned into every 6 months at the minute. Just try and just have that long weekend away somewhere and just free your mind up, and then you come back and you're bouncing again. Because get exhausted, but it only needs an order to come in or something like that, and you get that buzz and you're like, wow, here we go again. It's and you just get that spurt and off you go again.
Your energy is palpable. It's really interesting. Over the years that I've known you, your energy is just second to none. You don't stop. You bounce around. Also, you've got Duracell batteries in terms of but it's jukebox, sound leisure. It's what you do. It's in your blood. It's your passion.
Yes.
And you've inherited that from your father.
Yeah.
How do you maintain that in terms of desire to continue to learn and strive and push boundaries? Is it because it's the next sale excites you and it's about finding the next sale and pushing boundaries? What drives you daily?
I think trying to not let people down. That's my first thing, I'd say, because I've got customers all over the world. I've got a team that's in the factory, so I don't want to let my customers down. I don't want to let my team down. I think that's probably it for me. I think being brought up in the industry that I was in, or still am on the outskirts of with the hospitality industry, that was a very regimented thing. So if you put a jukebox on a wall back in the 80s and 90s, you had a 2-hour window to service that machine if anything went wrong. And that didn't matter where you were, you had to get to that machine within 2 hours. That was part of the contract. So customer service, you learn very quickly because the jukeboxes were so important at that time. Because on a Friday evening, if that jukebox went off at 8 o'clock, the pub emptied. So that's where the music came from.
Yeah.
So you were always under pressure. And I think that's what's really got me to my, what should I say, trying to look after customers, because I know how important it is. And I want somebody to buy, and especially the machines we're selling now that probably average price £10,000, people are spending a lot of money with us. And I want them not to just feel like they've just bought some piece of wood that plays music. I want them to feel that they've got something with a bit of heritage and there's a bit of passion there and a bit of, I don't know, just more than craftsmanship, whatever. And it's like we say to all the apprentices, that we have a lot of apprentices when they start with us, or anybody in the business who's building these machines, that what they are manufacturing today has got to last longer than them. So whether you're 18 when you join the business or whether you're 60 when you join the business, whatever you're doing now, that machine has got to last way beyond your time on this planet. And we want people to be talking about the quality, the heritage, the passion that people have got for bringing these sort of like wonderful pieces of art that play music, because that's what they are. They stand in somebody's living room a lot of the time or somewhere in the home, and people cherish these machines. And we want them to feel that we did when we were building it, and it's not just being pumped out of a machine. It's got that touch with it.
And we talk about generations in terms of family business and passing on to the next generation. In many cases, these jukeboxes are passed from generation to generation, and they're part of memories within families' lives. So you're not just making something to sell it to somebody, you're making something that goes into a family and becomes something of their own heritage and their own story. So the product itself has a kind of a history and
it does,
a longevity.
And we say we manufacture memories, and it's not just about manufacturing the machines that we do, which are based on 1940s and 1950s machines. So 1940s, the golden age dome top machines like the Wurlitzers, and then the silver age flat top machines. That's a memory for people who remember that. But what you do with a jukebox in your front room is you sit round it with your family, with your grandkids who are dancing round it, and you listen to songs and they remember those songs. And we get emails and cards and stuff from people all over the world saying it's the best thing they've ever bought because they've had so much fun. They don't turn the TV on when they get one for 3 weeks, because it's just everybody sat round there like you used to do as a family group. The people often say to us that the kids are coming out of the bedroom for the first time in months, have put the phones down, and we're sat down there and we're all talking about stuff. And do you remember when you played that song? And everybody's got a favourite song. Everybody can tune back into a song from, I don't know, when they met the girlfriend or when they used to go out with the mates or whatever. There's always a song, and you always, if you're my age, remember going to a pub because it had that specific type of music in. But that's what it's about. And we've just put one into a care home, and the idea with that is that not only will people remember of that age the shape of the jukebox, or anybody with dementia, anything like this, they remember the music. They remember those times. And the guy who put one in with last week said, "Chris, it's amazing." He said, "It's like literally, we've put this in and it's like drugs. It is, people are just come in that are normally sat in chairs, not moving, and they're now all round the jukebox dancing." He said, "It's just, I've never seen anything like it."
Amazing. It is amazing. And I think, if from my perspective, when I hear your business and the culture within it, it's because, and we talked about it earlier about why do people want to get involved and why do they not go for the big money. The purpose of the business is not making jukeboxes. No. What you are doing is creating memories in families, which is an incredible story and incredibly engaging. And you could see why someone may look at come to you as a supplier and end up working for you, which I'm aware is happening because of the amazing things you do. One of the things that I'm really interested in, when I joined my family business, I had to go work somewhere else. I had to go get experience elsewhere. And I know that there'll be, of our millions of listeners, there will be the family members sitting there going, well, work experience within the business working with me versus university degree versus getting experience, what advice would you give them as they sit and go, right, for our succession, this is what we're thinking of doing?
I'd say there's not one size fits all. So I'm heavily involved with Leeds Manufacturing Alliance, so with Leeds City Council and the Chamber of Commerce. And back in 2012-13, they set up a committee, if you want, to look at how we get people back into manufacturing. So I'm a firm believer that apprenticeships are a fantastic way into businesses, whether it's family or not. I've got 2 sons, as I've said previously. My youngest son, Edward's at university. If he hadn't have gone to university, I'd have killed him, because that's how he works. That's how his mind ticks. He can sit and study, and he's brilliant at it. If Alex, his brother, had said he was going to university, that'd have just been the biggest drinking session that you've ever seen. They might as well throw the money down the pan. Yeah. So I think it's look at, when I left school, a lot of my friends went to college, university. I was looked down upon because I hadn't done. Because back then everybody was being pushed. It was you just went to university. That was it. There was no other option. So when we joined the Manufacturing Alliance on the steering committee there, it was to re-engage with schools and colleges and parents and teachers, and go around these places and go, look, it's not one size fits all. You've got some people that learn with their hands. You've got some people that need to go to college. It's like school sports day. That winds me up more than anything, that you can't have a winner anymore. Drives me insane, because for that one day of the year where those kids that are sporty might not be studious and doing grade A's every week, that's their one chance to shine. And we've taken that away from them now. And it's not everybody can be great at everything, and not everybody works the same way. So just give people the opportunity to do what they want. And if they screw it up when they're 18, they're 18. Let them do something. If they decide they don't like it, great. They might realise that when they're 20, and they'll go do something else. You can't just keep saying to people, this is what you must do. And I think I might be quite strange in that way, because I'm sort of like let live type of thing, and let people find their own way as well, because if they don't, they won't have a passion for it. And if they've got that passion because they're doing something they like, it's a win-win.
Which is good. Moves to our closing question, which is, what advice would you give your 16-year-old self who's just joined the family business?
Do it all again. It's been fantastic, and hopefully I can do it again for another 25 years. And I don't regret any of it. It's been fantastic. It's why wouldn't you have travelled the world, got friends all over the place, turn the TV on, see our machines on stage shows all around the world, see them in hotels, see them on cruise liners, getting messages from people saying, we've just seen this, we've just seen that. And it's very lucky to have done what we've done.
So the advice is stay in, get involved, because it's going to be a fantastic ride.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, because and don't be scared of hard work, because it's, which is, as I said, I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I've seen my father do it. I'm not scared of hard work, but it doesn't feel like work. But I think that's your important thing. If it feels like work, get out, go do something you enjoy.
Yeah, that's really good advice, Chris. Thank you on behalf of Sam and I and joining us today on Legacy, the Family Business Podcast. I think your sound advice to leave on is everyone needs to find their passion. And it might be in the family business, it might not, but find the passion, find what makes you tick, and you can then deliver and perform and outperform what you might even expect yourself to do. Yeah. Sound Leisure's clearly done that and is on a fantastic journey again now. So good luck with the rest of your journey.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. It's been great.
What is going to be your legacy?